Okay. This is Michelle. I'm here to share about learning to communicate and educate in a provocative way. So this is me, Michelle. I'm studying in BEL Year 4. So here's my content page. And I will start by talking about children literature. So I did my first ever children picture book reading in the course of ENG 2402. And it is a course about understanding more elements in the children picture book. And we also did a reading in EduHK Jockey Club Primary School. So here you can see me wearing a shark costume. It's because our book was related to fish content. And we also did some interactive story PowerPoint by adding some elements. And you can see we also have the students sitting in a circle to have a more inclusive reading environment. And while I was reading the story, my wonder was, as a teacher, could we implement these picture books in our daily teaching? So as a primary school teacher, when I was the one reading the book, I wonder how should we better present these picture books? As here I was reading to primary 2 to 4 students, and I wonder what if I'm reading to even younger students that may not understand much words, or maybe to some students that are older that would understand all the story already. So I mean that could differ, like my tone could differ in different situations. And also, I wonder if we could add this picture books in our daily teaching, because I always thought picture books always about leisure time activities, always about just bedtime stories before bed to the kids, and about stories it could not always be related to study. So carrying these wonders, I tried a few attempts in my other teaching in Quadman School in Chernchow. I found out there's 2 daily implementations I can do to add picture books in our teaching. So the first one is about pre-activity as a lead-in into the class. As here, I use the book, The Fears You Fear, by teaching about negative emotions to students. And using these books as a lead-in, I can help them to express their fears in English, and while connect it visually by asking them to draw their fears out. And this also makes the lesson more interesting as they can draw. As you can see here, they draw some like ghost and darkness and loneliness. And by seeing this shared from students, we as a teacher can also see what the students see about in life as to foster a deeper students and teacher relationship. And also the second point is to use these picture books as an extra activity, as a positive reinforcement. When there's extra time and students have done all the work in class, I will read them this picture book as a reward. So how's this experience changing me? It's about changing my perspective of picture books. It's not only about a leisure time activity to kids, but it can also be an educational tool that we teachers can use in our lesson. For example, here you can see on the right middle side, there's a bear pictures. It's a picture book called Where's My Hat by John Klassen. And you can see there's a sentence of have seen my hat. And there's actually more repetition of these kind of past perfect tenses in the book. So we as a teacher can also use this book as a teaching material. And also it's about also changing the classroom environment. I realized the kids really love these picture books in lesson because it's something out of the textbook. It's less boring. And before in my teaching practice on my jobs, I was only always doing the minimum. I was just following the textbooks, the worksheet, and it could be really boring for kids. So by adding this kind of teaching material, these picture books, it could bring a lot of fun into the classroom and enhance the study environment to arouse students' interest in learning English. The second thing is about communication methods. So in the last summer, I've spent 68 days in New Zealand, joining summer immersion program pulled by our program. And I found out there's some issues about communicating in New Zealand. So in contemporary communications, always only about digital communication and texting. So whenever I was online and I get into some words I'm unfamiliar with, I can always just translate it right away and go back smoothly into the conversation. But in real life, when I was in New Zealand, there's a lot of different dialects and tones that I do not understand. And to avoid embarrassment, I always just pretend I understand and I just said yes to everything. For example, they use different dialects. They would say bandage as plasters that you can see on the left side. And also they say swimwear as talks. And I've never encountered these words in my Hong Kong speaking, English speaking environment. So I was really confused. And the second point is about their speaking of tone. And apparently, these New Zealanders have kind of a humor that they always do dry and sarcastic jokes. And at the really first, I don't really understand these jokes, and I wondered if I should agree to it or not. So I was quite confused too. I also encountered these kind of tones in my teaching school in New Zealand and also in my host family. But since there's one day my host family told me that they do understand English is my second language, and there's no wrong for me to ask for something I do not understand. It's completely fine, and I'm here to learn. So then I realized that it's actually true, and I'm here to learn, but not here to avoid embarrassment. So I start to raise more questions about to people like, what do you mean by this word? What do you mean in this sentence? So uh, I realized there's actually no embarrassment by asking something I do not know. Excuse me. After I get to know more about what it meant in a sentence, I get less confusion in the conversations, and I could uh, gradually catch up this conversation and have deeper understandings in this local's culture and their word usage. So what did I learn by then is I started to expose my fear and anxiety of asking questions to my host family. And also, I will do some more research on some words I don't know. So whenever there's some words I'm unfamiliar with, I will just screenshot it online with the translation, and I will save it in my photo album so I can look back at it every time. And also, it's about being curious. No matter in New Zealand or in Hong Kong learning environment, it's always important to pay more attention to things we're not unfamiliar with to get more learning opportunities. And the third one is about sex education in New Zealand. So when I was in New Zealand, I had participated in a teaching school. So there was one lesson that their class teacher teach the 12 to 13 years old kids about pornography. So their government there discovered that students by age 12 is the time when they first reach out to pornography. But the reason why they bring out this point to students, not only telling them, oh, you should not watch it because it's illegal and you're underage. It's more like about this pornography are bringing faulty values to these students. Similar to the concept of models or magazines, people there are always showing their best self, the best hair, best faces. But same as pornography, they could be bringing their best self in the videos or pictures. And these kids by age 12, they could misunderstand these values, and it's unhealthy for them to chase after such values by the age of 12. And the second point is about the pornography with children involved. Unfortunately, there's still many this kind of videos online, this illegal content online, and students have to be aware that there's could be some people who lure them into this pornography. And the point to telling them this is to provide them provide them borderline. They have to learn about their borderline and not to spread similar related content to their peers. And comparing this to Hong Kong sex education, I realized Hong Kong is more about on the biological facts and the risk avoidance. Hong Kong is only telling about students of you should not do something, you should not post these pictures online because it could bring you into danger. But they rarely explain about it. So I was really shocked when I was listening to this lesson in New Zealand. The teachers show really deep care about how would they help the students if they were in this kind of situation. They could always feel safe to talk to the teacher privately about these problems. So they're also the students there are also more willing to share their views about this discussion. And in the picture here, this little boy, he did ask in a discussion about what if these underage kids are involved in pornography, and what are the consequences if the said person escaped New Zealand? And by this, we can see the kids there are more open and feel more safe in these discussions. And I wonder why do Hong Kong cannot do this kind of stuff? So I realize it's the problem of the teacher's presentation on this kind of topic. In Hong Kong, teachers only treating this sex education as a chapter in a book, but not really seeing students' voice or help. So I think it's important to implement some kind of discussion to help students feel safe voicing out these questions or help. And also it's about the well-being focus from students. We should teach them about the consent and building a borderline in terms of sex so students can have a more healthy relationship. And this is my action plans for in the future. I could be more open-minded on teaching values, teaching materials, and not be afraid of communicate with people, and also create a safe net for students. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you.